Okay. I just sent the thing to start streaming here, so should be going in a minute. Okay, it is. We're live. We're live. I guess the very first order of business is to say sorry for missing last week. I don't see anybody here. I'm not sure anybody even knows the stream is happening. Oh yeah, I see there's people coming in. And there is Anthony Becerra with the first comment. It says, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy Turkey Day. My wife and I just got back from a little trip. I had a medical appointment up in Grand Junction, which is about 80 miles away, for Tuesday morning. So we just decided to turn it into a little trip. And we drove up Monday to the KOA up there in Grand Junction, which is okay. I've seen, but considering Grand Junction's in the middle of the desert, it's probably not a bad way. I mean, they did have lots of trees there and some green grass. Green was interesting because this is the time of year when Colorado is brown. Anyway, we took the travel trailer up there and stayed until today, and came back because I've got the live stream this evening, and I had to pick up the last of the entries from the post office. And so we like to go up to Grand Junction for whatever reason, because that's where they have the big chain restaurants, you know, the Famous Dave's, Red Lobster, Outback Steakhouse, and so on. They've got all of these up there, and that gives us a chance to kind of pig out a little bit, you know, and enjoy some of these chain restaurants that are our favorites. I did go to the doctor, who's a nephrologist. My primary care physician is saying that I've got too much protein in my urine. Not supposed to have any, but I've got some. And so that's a sign of kidney damage, and so what they're gonna do is make me eat less salt, like none, exercise more, eat less, in other words, lose weight, and take losartan, which is a blood pressure drug. He wanted me to double the dose I was on. And that's it. That's all that came out of it. So there's a lot of hoofron, a lot of tests, and they're not doing a biopsy or anything like that. So I'm back able to be doing videos and so on. We had videos backed up for about two weeks, close to 2 weeks. We'll be making some more again next week. And when we get up to 7 o'clock, there are some things that I want to talk about. One has to do with the DX Commander. I'll tell you what, you give a iffy review to something and everybody explodes. You know, if I give nice reviews to everything, everybody seems to be happy, but I don't think you tune in to listen to me for nice reviews. Oh, I got it. It was wonderful. So easy to put up. And I was able to talk to hams on the moon and Mars and all that sort of thing. It's not what you're looking for from me. You're looking for me saying, okay, here was my experience with this device. Okay. And, like, for example, we did a video about the Chameleon, the new receive-only loop, which is a very nice antenna. But we had a little trouble with the mounting plate. I think what happened was that when the plate was painted, the paint got down into the threads. And so when we tried to put the threads in there, they really don't let the the nuts in. If we had failed completely, I would have called Chameleon and gotten another one. But we succeeded. We got it done. We just had to try a few little things, and we got it done. So I decided not to call Chameleon. Well, their response, of course, was, "Thank you very much for the review, but you should have called us about the plate, the first sign of trouble." Well, it wasn't fatal trouble. I mean, it was just a little quirk. In that particular one, we eventually got the nuts in. I had Bill Sherman up there noted that I had my assistant doing it. He tried, he couldn't, but I took it and was able to get them to go in and get the paint out of the threads and everything like that, and there was no issue. We put the thing up, it worked beautifully, and it does. It receives as well as, if not better than, the MFJ loop, which I believe is rather more expensive than the Chameleon loop. And I may just take the MFJ loop down and put the Chameleon up. I've had the MFJ for years, and it's time now to change antennas once in a while. Life and Death says, Red Lobster may be famous, but it can't hold a candle to a New England lobster house. That is true. Years ago, when I worked for, who was it I was working for? Let's see, we were doing gyroscopes. So that was Northrop. When I worked for Northrop, I would go up to New England, across the country from Los Angeles, to talk to another Northrop division that made gyroscopes. And these were for the MX missile, so they were basically the best gyroscope that could be created by mankind. And I discovered a chain up there in the Boston area called Legal Seafood. Now, if you've been to Legal Seafood recently, if they're still around, I don't know, they were never a West Coast chain. They've changed a lot. It used to be that the term legal seafood meant that you paid for your food in advance. And so now you had a legal contract to get your food. It takes care of dine and dash, that's for sure. But the lobster casserole was to die for. I think the thing was about this big and at least 4,000 calories, and it was just divine. And every time I took a trip there, I headed for Illegal Seafood and got my lobster casserole. So it was really good back then. Now, the lobsters, of course, that they have at Red Lobster are live lobsters, but I don't know how long they've been there or whatever. I remember I took a live lobster home on the airplane, got it in the airport, and they get it in the box, and I told the guy at TSA that I was bringing this home for my wife, and he looked, and of course he could see what was in the box. He says, "Only one?" So, yeah, only one. That's what she got. But boy, I tell you what, it was interesting. Our son John, who's now in his late 30s, was about 2 then, and Mom put the lobster down on the floor. It's got bands around the claws, so it can't do anything. And by the time she picked it up and threw it in the pot and had the pot going, John had bonded with his pet lobster. That took a little explaining to do. But anyway, let's see. We've got a bunch of people in here. We got up to 69 people today. So I'm going to talk, starting around 7, which is coming up in a few minutes, about the DX Commander and the incredible hoofera over that. People are making videos in rebuttal. They are screaming at the top of their voices that I'm wrong, etc., etc., etc. And none of them understand what I was trying to do. So I'm going to try and make that straight today. By the way, I give you the short version. The DX antenna is a fine antenna. The manual they sent us a year ago is not. That's the bottom line. I understand they have a new manual now. We're going to take a close look at it. Okay, let's see. We had, actually for lunch, we stopped at Denny's. One of the few chain restaurants open on Thanksgiving. My wife had their Thanksgiving special, and I had crepes with strawberries and cream, and ooh, that was good. Okay, and Don DeGidio, happy Thanksgiving from Philly. Magic Man for Ann says, hi Dave, happy Thanksgiving from Surrey, Canada. Brian. Robert, hello from KW4RB in Virginia, Southwest Idaho. Anthony Becerra said he liked my DX Commander video. There's another one coming, I think in a few days. Let's see when it's due. Let's do the, oops, gotta get the right. And it always defaults to this screen right here. We'll look at content. DX Commander Part 3 is scheduled for November 28th. Okay, scheduled for November 28th. This is the video where we actually do some listening comparisons. And let me just put this up on the screen here. We've got videos out for several days that'll get us through the weekend. And the DX Commander Part 3 is coming on November 28th, which is Sunday. Okay. This will be more of my video rather than a video of my assistant trying to put the thing together. We had this other DX Commander Part 2 was on November 21st, which was 4 days ago. And boy, I tell you, now DX Commander Part 3 is already up on Patreon. One of the things about being a patron on Patreon is once a week you get an early video. So that's something to look at there. Let's see, we did that Radioddity. I have reviews stacked up in the other room. Okay. So let's talk about the DX Commander. I got an email from Callum, the other Callum, the Callum in the UK, the one who is essentially synonymous with the DX Commander. Now, DX Commander makes a whole series of antennas, and they're all basically the same kind of thing. They are wire antennas with plastic stuff holding them apart that can be collapsed so that you can take it to a portable site. There's a heavy element in the DX Commander DNA of portability. And the Classic, which is the one that we did, is an all-band antenna. It can be adjusted to work on 80 meters if you want to. We did not do that. I don't really care for the 80-meter band. Other people do. Some people would like to do 80 meters to do FT8. Okay, and if that's the case, you can set up the DX Commander in the 80-meter portion. It's a very interesting antenna. It is, you've heard of fan dipoles, where you've got one feed point and you've got the different dipoles coming out from that. This is a vertical equivalent to that, and I am really surprised, now that I think about it, that no one in the history of ham radio has tried a vertical with that option. So I must make note of that little bit of genius to Callum for putting together a fan vertical, which is what it is. Now, when I got the, this was about a year ago, people were telling me I needed to review the DX Commander, that it was a good antenna. But a lot of people told me that the manual was iffy, that to put it together, you probably had to watch videos of other people putting the antenna together to get it together right. So I thought what I would do was to test. I had no qualms about the antenna. I knew it would work, and this next DX Commander 3 is going to show that quantitatively, comparing that to my Step IR Big IR, which is a $2,500 antenna, to the DX Commander, and we're going to find that they hear the same things the same way. Okay? And that says a lot for the DX Commander. It's a great antenna. But a year ago, I gave the manual to my assistant, who was a high schooler, very bright guy, and said, okay, here are the instructions. Put this antenna together. Now, why did I do that? Other than trying to make a 18-year-old look like a neophyte, it's exactly what I was doing. This channel, one of the primary focuses of this channel is to new generals. People who have made the jump from technician to general, or may have done tech and general in one sitting and are now getting on HF. Now, these people have passed a test, they've learned as much as they can, they have mentors, so on and so forth. Okay? But can they put together an antenna without good step-by-step instructions? So I used as a substitute my assistant, okay, and asked him to assemble this antenna. He was unable to do so. Now, there are some new instructions available, and I have not compared the new and the old instructions, but I will in a video that will be upcoming very soon. And I'm going to tell you what my impression is. I know they're different. They've changed. So I gave the new instructions and the old instructions to my current assistant, who is very sharp. He actually does all the editing. He's just a really sharp kid. He's taken a lot of college classes while he's in his senior year in high school. This is a Mensa smart kid. Okay. And I said, go out and make that work. Well, he sat down with the instructions and I emphasize this point, and looked at videos. Okay? And he put the thing together. Now, he did some things wrong. The first time he put it up, it collapsed on him, just down in on itself. So he had to stretch it out again and put in some missing hose clamps. By the way, in the U.S., they're called hose clamps. Hose clamp, by any other name, is still a hose clamp. I don't know what they're called in England, but I've heard rumors they're called something else. Tiddlywinks. A hose clamp called a tiddlywink is still a hose clamp. So anyway, he put this together and got that antenna erected. And I went out with him, and this is where the last video comes in, and we guide the thing for some testing. And I went over a couple things to make sure that the radials were connected and all of this kind of thing. And then we went in the house and did the testing. And the testing is what's going to come on the video on Sunday. The testing was excellent, by the way, excellent. We had a little trouble with 10 meters, but I don't care. A lot of antennas have trouble with 10 meters. I'm interested in, is this a good antenna to say to a new general, here, go buy this. It's going to give you excellent results. And you shouldn't have too much trouble with it. If you do have trouble, call me. Okay? So that's what I did with my assistant. I chose my assistant to put it together because he's a very, very bright young man. He had both the new and the old instructions and he had access to videos. And there are still some things people noted that he did wrong. Now, did I supervise the construction of the antenna to make sure he did it right? No. No, if you get something in the mail and you need to put it together, you want to know that you can put it together yourself without having to, wait until the next club meeting to figure out what's going on. So what I did was gave it to him. We put it up. We did the testing. It works great. It's still up. And now for a fourth video, we are going to take it down, strip it down, and do a complete rebuild using the new instructions, this time with me doing the building. Okay, so here is what I said about the, first of all, let me tell you what people think I said about the antenna. They think I said it's a terrible antenna and a bad idea to give to New Ham. Well, I think it is a bad idea to give it to New Ham till they get that manual straightened out. But I'll have more to say on the manual later. Right at this point, I consider the antenna to be an excellent antenna. Somebody told me I guided at the right point. I went out and looked at it today, and I'm quite happy with where it's guided. It stayed up very nicely. I am using LMR 400 from the antenna to my grounding point over here. And I attached it to the switch that I use to switch inputs to the little SDR receiver that I have here. So I could switch back and forth between the step IR, big IR, $2,500 antenna, and then to an antenna the 10th of its cost, and we could go just back and forth like that real quick and take a look at what was going on, look at individual signals, and so on. And the net result that I came to was that it hears just as well as the fancy antenna. Okay, it hears just as well. So I have no qualms about it transmitting just as well. I'm sure it will. But we will do that last step. What a lot of people have got wrong is they think I'm criticizing the antenna itself. The antenna works fine. But my experience with the manual was bad. And I've got two assistants, one current and one former, to prove it. Now, as far as reviewing, I got some notes from Callum that I won't even show you. I mean, the first thing he said was he's never watched my video, but he's got it on reliable authority that I got it all wrong. So he suggests that I shouldn't be doing anything outside where I have trouble breathing. I do have asthma. Okay, and stay inside with my gray beard. Well, go jump in a lake, Callum. Pick a lake up in Lake. Isn't there a lake district in the UK? Go find a lake and jump in it. The fact of the matter is I am expected by you, my subscribers, to review things and to give my honest opinion on things, to tell you about my experience, whether that experience was good, bad, indifferent, turned out okay, but I had a couple problems like I did with the chameleon antenna. And so it was just a little paint in the hole. We got it fixed. But I'm not going to make a commercial like this Radioddity radio that looks very, very, very much like this Anytone radio. In fact, they're identical. Okay, can't tell them apart. But this one is 70 centimeters only. This is 70 centimeters and 2 meters. Okay, this radio, in my opinion, does not have a good use case. It's a nice radio. It works. It does everything you want a radio to do. But I can't figure out why you'd want to buy one. So, anyway. And make sure to thank the people in Tel Management. I certainly hope they're being paid overtime. Life and death, yes. What I did today, was when we paid on our way out, I asked the cashier, if I leave a check, if I leave a tip, does it actually go to that server, or does it go into some kind of pool? And she says it goes to that server. So we paid about $20 for food, and I left her a $20 tip for working on Thanksgiving. I once gave a waitress at Denny's in Moab. We were there on Christmas, and I left her a $50 tip. So, what was the email about? Well, it was about 4 paragraphs long. Do you know how hard Callum had to look to find a British to American translator for a manual? And I've made your same point about why you did this thing this way. I agree with it. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Life and Death. Good name there. You know, I knew a guy whose family name was Trout. And his parents, in a bit of, I don't know, they'd clearly been drinking too much. They named him Brook Trout. And they named his brother Lake Trout. If you can believe that. Brook Trout and Lake Trout were brothers. But everybody just went with... No, Callum's a good guy. I've never actually spoken directly with him. I suggested that he do that. Paper copy of the manual, and that was a valid concern. Things aren't coming anymore with paper copies. Although, I got this little thing today from an outfit in Canada where you can get fun little kits. This is a do-it-yourself LED colorful heart display kit. And I looked at the video about it. It's in the shape of a heart. And it does all kinds of colorful things and stuff like that. And my wife has decorated our bathroom with a sort of a Valentine thing. And I said, well, this would be perfect in there. She says, well, you ought to get it. I said, so I did. Cost me more to ship it than it did to get the thing. So anyway, that's the big... And I'm sorry I spent 15 minutes of the live stream not answering your questions, but talking about this DX Commander. It's a very popular antenna. Okay? And the antenna is fine. I have no qualms about that. But the first set of instructions that came a year ago weren't instructions. What I'm going to do in that video is I'm going to get out the instructions I have from DX Engineering for putting together the HF9V, which is a butternut antenna. DX Engineering bought out butternut and rewrote the assembly manual for that. It's one of the best manuals I have seen since Heathkit was around. Okay, you've got a step, you got a little drawing, so you know exactly where it goes. And if there's like 5 of them, there's 5 check marks. Make sure you put them in the right places. And you step, check, step, check, step, check. And on some really good manuals that I've seen, like for a little 30-meter QRP rig I've got up here that I made from a kit, you would step, check partway and test. Then you do some more, and then you'd test that. And by the time you got done, you had a very high probability that the thing would work when it turned on. And it did. I had everything spread out on the table. I had plugged in speakers and stuff, and I hadn't put anything in a cabinet yet. And I was sort of tuning and happy to hear 30 meters, and I heard a CQ. Well, I plugged a key in. Didn't have the radio final amplifier properly tuned, but I had a nice QSO with a guy up in Spokane, so it was really neat. Okay, let's see. Keep Keep my house center-fed dipole and end-fed half-wave. Sure. You know, why not? I just get on in this live video. What antenna you're talking about? I'm talking about an antenna that has a personality attached to it. The antenna is the DX Commander. It is made in Great Britain by a guy by the name of Callum McCormick, who is a YouTube presence. He has his own YouTube channel and apparently quite a loyal following. Okay, and I had a lot of people tell me, you've got to get this antenna and test it. So I did. Now, what happened, unfortunately, is I got it a year ago, more than a year ago. So it had the old manual. I had my assistant puzzle out how to put the thing together because I wanted to see how a novice, a neophyte, a brand new general just got his license in the email, how he would do with this antenna. And the answer was not well. The instructions were actually several paragraphs of philosophy. The new manual I have not looked at yet. I'll have to get my Callum's impression. My assistant is named Callum, too. So we got that Callum versus that Callum. And we'll try and get you something. So let me give you my philosophy on reviewing things. This was sent to me free of charge. Okay, it's a nice radio, about a $200 radio, I think. It works. It's obviously made by Anytone and rebranded. I called. You remember, I've always told you, if you're going to get an Anytone radio, get it through Bridgecom Systems in Missouri because they offer support. They offer training and support for the Anytone radios. You can get the Anytone radios from other people for about the same price, but you don't get the support. They give you support out of them. Now, Anytone approached Bridgecom Systems to ask if they wanted to sell this radio, and Bridgecom Systems said no. I have that on the direct authority of the person who said no. Okay, because I called Bridgecom Systems and I says, I got this thing that looks exactly like an Anytone. What's the story? And they told me the story. So Radioddity is bringing it out. Radioddity's an interesting outfit. I've enjoyed working with them. I've got a couple of their FRS radios to test. And in fact, they sent me an email today saying, were you ever going to get around to reviewing that? So, yes. The use case for this, you are correct. Who was it said there? Let me make sure I give credit to the right person. Okay. Anyway, the use case for this would be to work with this. Okay. This is a hotspot. It's used for any of the digital modes. Okay. Any of the digital modes. And you can, let's see, I've got this thing somehow upside down. There it is. Can't get my call right. Okay, to work with this. But this is a 10-watt radio. It's got extra 2 watts. You need about a milliwatt to get from this to this, you know, when they're only 3 feet apart. I'm sure somebody's already come up with the idea of just attaching a microphone to this. But I don't know. It gets at a point here where it's all internet and there's no ham radio left. So, anyway, on this video that I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the instructions. I'm going to talk about what I like, what I don't like, how suitable I think it would be for somebody. I don't know why Callum would need a translator to go from English to English. I guess the Americans, Yanks, are known for being, you got to point it out to them step by step. Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'll admit that. This Yank likes to be told what to do step by step, with some sort of a way of checking my work as I go. Okay, so anyway, I've talked about that. My philosophy on reviews is this. People must not like me talking about this because I note that the chat revenue is 0. My philosophy on reviews is I'm going to give you my impression of what I find, how I work with it, things that I like, things that I don't like, suggestions for use cases for the radio. In other words, what you'd use it for. Now, like, for example, the DX Engineering has a very small footprint. If you make the radials the way the instructions tell you to do, which we did, they're 10 feet long. So the diameter is 20 feet. So if you've got a small backyard, this is an ideal antenna for you. It's a very small footprint, 20 feet, and the antenna is extremely flexible. It's black, so it may not even be noticed by passersby, especially if you've got a tree or two that you can put it near. Okay, now understand that there are some parts of it that have elastic cord that tighten the put tension on the various elements of the fan vertical. And with time, that tension will gradually lessen, so you need to retie them. And also, ultraviolet will gradually affect everything. But I think it's a perfectly good antenna for somebody to start with. Now, why is it not the reference antenna? Cost. You can put up MFJ 2010, which will give you all of 40, all of 20. It will also give you some of 10 and some of 6, but it's the 40 and 20 that are important. Now, the DX Engineering will give you a lot more than that, a lot more bands, and does very well. So anyway, when I do a review, I give you my unvarnished impression. And then I will try and talk about the best use case. Use case is a software term, which has to do with what on earth are people going to do with this thing. And that's usually actually where you start with the specifications. I have a use case I've got up in payroll. They need to come up with a new tax form. Okay, that's a use case. That will go in and will develop a modification to the company's code so that they can do that. But use cases are important in ham radio too, because if you're primarily a CW operator, you don't need a great big fancy microphone. You just don't. You're never going to use it. Okay, let me see. Somebody's been talking about here 40 through 10 meters. Okay. Reese had a question. I'm going to just see if I can go up here and find it. I've been thinking about raising my MFJ 2010 to 30 feet from 20 feet. What would that do? What that would do is slightly lower the radiation angle. That's nearly, if you went up to 33 feet, it would be optimum. It's nearly the optimum height for 20-meter dipole. So you bring your lobes down much closer to the horizon. You give a better DX. The 40 meters will still tend to go up. Okay. If you go higher than 30 feet, that'll bring the 40 meter down, but it will cause the 20 meter pattern to start to bifurcate. It's just weird. It's like as you go up, the radiation pattern starts to look like a flower. There's all sorts of petals on it. Okay. Damien says he's 2 Echo 0 Tango X-ray Echo. And since he's over in the UK, he can tell me if my whining about Callum McCormick is going to get you guys to send an ICBM this way. Okay, think about raising the antenna. That would be a good thing to do. That would do. I've had a few that provided a URL to download the manual. That is what MFJ does. Unfortunately, they give one URL, and you've got to sort through all the stuff there to find the right manual, and then download it. On the DX Commander, there is a specific URL. So if you're looking on the web page for the DX Commander Classic, there's a link right there for the correct user's manual. Okay. Yeah, I know. And the Mr. Dr. Ms. With the instructions, it seemed like Callum fell into what often happens in IT. A certain level of know-how and other assumptions are made. I had to watch many videos to make sure I built mine right. Okay, well, there you go. There's an answer. Don has the same response for Reese that I had, except you got there first. 40 will probably get better. It will. It will be an improvement. Impedance may drop slightly. You're going to be close to the optimum height for a 20-meter dipole, so your feed point impedance might be a little higher than 50 ohms. It definitely will change. You'll have to retrain your tuner if you're using one. Your impedance will change as you go higher. And it's not a linear thing. So it could go down, it could go up a little bit. Dave, I had a problem with radiodity. They would, I think he intends to mean the word not in there. They would not give out a schematic so I could repair my radio. Yeah, they aren't really made for repair. It's a shame. They claim you can send it back. Radiodity has an American drop point. They ship to the drop point and then ship out from there. Sometimes they'll ship China Post, which feeds right into the U.S. Postal Service. The two are electronically connected, so you can follow the package. We'll see how long that survives. Okay. Do I have any idea on why 75 phone is going long so much lately? Yeah. Oh, somebody dropped $10 in the chat revenue. Thank you. 75, well, it's because the ionosphere is changing. It's becoming more reflective. We just had that great big solar flare, which hypercharged the ionosphere. And so radio stopped for quite a while, a few days. And then there's a certain period in there where as the ionosphere calms down, it's for a few hours will give you fantastic reflectivity, and then it settles back down to normal. Let's see. Hey, Dave, do you have any idea what... Okay. Don DeGidio, don't worry about it, please. You've been such a supporter. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Reese Simmons just getting it above the townhouses would help, yes. After careful consideration of the DX Commander review videos, Vest Dave and other channels have concluded I'm not interested in purchasing. Yeah, it's not really designed to be like the Step IR Big IR is designed for a very permanent installation and then using the heck out of it. The DX Commander is designed for a portable type antenna that you can put up somewhere like at Field Day or POTA or SOTA or any of these things like that where you need to put something up, have it work really well, and then come down. And I have to credit Callum for the genius of the idea of the fan vertical. I really do. What ratio is the un? Okay, let's see. Yeah, last week I screwed up. I apologize. I missed it completely. Okay, it's just not all that great antenna. Well, yeah, it's a vertical. It's not a Yagi. It doesn't have any gain. Yeah, DX or not DX Engineering. DX Engineering has some pretty amazing antennas there. Thanksgiving. Oh, that's right, the giveaway. All right, but before we do that, I'm going to do something else. This came via UPS. Does anybody know what that is? Well, let's see if we're right. I'm going to get a knife here so I can cut the tape. I want to be careful not to cut anything inside. This is from YouTube. I had a little conversation with YouTube about this. And it just opens right up, just like that. And I have a black something that I can remove. I have some super dry desiccant right there. And this is congratulations on your subscriber milestone. We are honored to take part in recognizing your achievement and want your experience to be exceptional. This award was inspected and packed with great care by Rick. If your award was damaged during shipment, whatever, okay, so it's from the company that makes the award. Here is it's on cardstock. YouTube, do you remember your first subscriber? Yeah, I think it was a friend of mine. Or your 100th or your 1000th. Chances are you do. And we know that you'll definitely remember your 100,000th subscriber. I happened to grab that on this screenshot just as it rolled over to 100,000. We're up to about 102,000 now. Your fans may have found you while searching YouTube, learning about you through a friend, or maybe you showed up as a recommended video. No matter how they came to your channel, fans stayed. Their numbers increased because of your unique voice and the excitement of being part of a growing community that you established. We are thrilled to see the development of your community and are proud to honor your impressive milestone of reaching 100,000 subscribers with the Silver Creative Award. Congratulations. We know that you have many more stories to share with your community, and we know that your fans can't wait for you to engage and amaze them. Do I amaze you? Amaze them with your commitment and creativity. So keep creating, keep building. We can't wait to see what you'll do next. And we're here to support you along the way. And who knows, when you reach your 1,000,000th subscriber, we may just write to you and ask, do you remember your 100,000th subscriber? Yours sincerely, and I think that's a printed signature, Susan Wosiski. I obviously got that wrong, a Polish pronunciation, CEO of YouTube. And so let's see what is inside of here. This, it says, presented to Dave Casler for passing 100,000 subscribers from YouTube. So, hey, man. That's a mirror on that thing behind the little play button. So I will find a good spot for this and hang it up. And I've noticed most people who get these make sure it always appears somewhere in the video. So I'll have to do that too. But You know, this is really, the milestone here is you guys. You guys have joined this channel. You have been loyal, faithful, all that sort of thing. You have funded this channel well, and I appreciate that. And it allows me to do things like go to Quartz Fest, which is the next big ham fest coming up down in Arizona, and we're going down there. It allows me to buy things like the DX Commander that was bought and paid for with channel funds. Okay, not everything is. So, microwave coax on Amazon. Yeah, don't buy coax from Amazon. Yeah, buy it from Times Microwave or Belden or one of those other well-known makers. If you go to Coax USA, or is it USA Coax? They've got some really good stuff too. Reese, thank you very much for your $5. Let me see. The Mr. Dr. Ms. Sent $10, said Happy Thanksgiving, Dave. Thanks for all you do. MSD Secretary, that I'll just answer your comment. No, it's one thing you can't do. David K. put in $10, says Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate your videos. Oh, very good. Here in Arizona is extremely hot with the punishing sunshine. Can I run my RG8U feed line inside a metallic or non-metallic conduit to protect from UV before connecting to my rooftop antenna? The problem is not the UV. You actually get less UV there than we do. The problem's the heat. And that coax, the RG8, was originally designed to be used by the GIs in the South Pacific. So yes, it can handle the heat. If you put it inside of something, it's just going to make it hotter inside the thing. So just run that out in the air, up the mast or whatever you're doing. You're fine with that. You're going to be replacing your cable every 4 or 5 years anyway. And that RG8 should be RG8U, which is the thick stuff. It's 0.405 inches. Will work fine. So Ramson, you're in good shape. If I live in Norway and I want to talk to somebody in the USA, can I use Echolink and transmit on a USA repeater? If you are a ham, yes, you may do that. Let's see. Use PVC instead. You can do that. There's white PVC, but I will warn you that the PVC will go bad in the UV. I have personal experience with that. If you set it up in copper plumbing pipe, that would be okay, although unfortunately the copper would be highly visible to your neighbors. Can you comment on metal roof and how high a dipole needs to be above it? Metal roofs are a little bit weird in this regard. They're not ground, and they're not a ground plane, unless you take the time to very carefully solder each roof element to each other, because very likely they will be disconnected from each other, and you'll get all kinds of interesting behavior. If you're putting up a vertical, just put it right down on the roof and spread the radials on the roof. If you are putting a dipole or something like that, just get it up above the roof. The roof will partially reflect the signals, so will the ground. The so-called far field of an antenna is, like I said, everything affects everything, so it will affect it a little bit, but not so much that you shouldn't give it a try. Okay. Check the specs for the cable jacket. It probably does have, let's see, Agree, DX Commander isn't a bad option by any means for the new general. I'd favor a 43-foot vertical with more grounds for experimentation. The 43-foot verticals were all the rage about 15 years ago. And the thing is, they need a gazillion radials. One way to put those radials in, radials in, is with a pizza cutter. Just get down on your hands and knees, push the pizza cutter through the grass, and then push your radial down into the groove left behind by the pizza cutter. That way your radial is down below where a lawnmower might get it or something like that. And it doesn't matter if your radials get wet. Now, I would still, in that case, recommend insulated radials. Otherwise, they just form a great big ground connection. Okay, by the way, my beard looks like yours now. Never have gotten past the itchy phase, but now it's a month. Yeah, you need 3 weeks to get past the itchy phase. Okay, can someone send me Amazon links so I can get them? I've been trying to find coax for a long time and have only been scammed. Go to Coax USA. Let's take a look on the screen. And I can't remember if it's USA Coax or Coax USA. Did that get a dot? Yes. Com. Oops. Okay, we'll go USA Coax.com. There we go. MPD Digital. Now, I used to know the guy who owned this. He sold. But go here. It is one of the reputable dealers of USA-made coaxial cables. They do most of their business with the military, okay? And they have some nice deals for hams, okay? And see, they've got all this kind of stuff that you can look at. The best thing to do is to call them. They've got to contact us here. Let's see if we get anything out of that. We do. Okay, there's a contact form. Do they have a... yeah, they've got a toll-free number that you can use there to get in touch with them. Okay. This is a reputable dealer for coax cable. And you'll get the right thing. They do have an Amazon store. But, you know, the problem with Amazon, you don't know what you're getting. It could be from China. And one time I was asked to help a guy with his vertical antenna. He was going to put a vertical antenna up. And he bought what he thought was LMR 400. And I came out to put the connector on it. It was not even as thick as LMR 400. It was skinnier. And every time I got down to the center conductor, which was copper-coated aluminum, it's the wrong aluminum. It's the kind of aluminum that if you bend it, it simply breaks. And I had a heck of a time getting a connector on that coax for him. I must have gone through 6 or 8 inches of coax, shortening the thing, because every time I'd get that thing ready to put in there, snap off. So get the right stuff. Make sure you know what you're getting, that you're dealing with a reputable company like MPD Digital. So they will take care of you. Okay. So that takes care of that. Let me go back to the other questions now. If less than 50 feet, you can use RG8X. More than 50 feet, then use LMR. Yeah. If you're only working on 40 meters, you can run RG8X for way over 100 feet. But yeah, times microwave coax. The thing is, you've got to make sure you're getting it from times microwave, because there's a lot of Chinese imitations that use the name, use the logo, it's not very good. Congratulations, Dave, on your 100K YouTube plaque. Kudos. Let's see, Reese. Yeah, the LMR 400 has several types. Flex is, LMR is pretty stiff. LMR 400, pretty stiff. But you don't want to use it so much for, like connecting your rig to your tuner. You just need a short piece of coax. You can make that almost anything. Let's see. Reese Simmons put in $5, says, finally time. I contributed but can't give much. That's no problem. Been here since I was 12 in 2017. Okay, I am now a contester and have QSL service. Cool. Reese, very cool. Okay, so 2017 was 5 years ago. So you are now 17. Well, Reese, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Okay, let's see. What did I just do? I went past Reese's. Can you change a microwave oven into a transmitter? I suppose somebody has done it. The cavity magnetron, which is used in a oven, has very poor frequency control, but it does put out a lot of power. Be very careful with it. For one thing, do not look into it while it's powered, because it'll fry your eyeball in a heartbeat. Okay, the antenna farm cells times microwave with good silver connector soldered on. There you go. Top the filing cabinet would be a good spot. Yeah. And that might just be where it goes in place of one of those like that one right there. That's been up there forever. Dave Casler, International Man of Mystery, and what an amazing guy. Well, thank you. Thank you. I am an Augie from Zimbabwe. Well, MSD Secretary. Thank you. Let's see. When are you giving away the DX Commander? I don't know. I want to get some use out of it before I give it away. I do need to give away the antenna tonight. I've got all the stuff already sorted and mixed up and everything there. Callum has made no response at all. What are you on about? Callum did write me an email. It was, I thought, mildly incendiary. And he sent me the email even though he had not viewed my video. Now, come on, that's politeness 101. If you're going to critique somebody's video, watch it. And besides, there's a new one coming out here in a few days. QRZ. Oh, I don't know what that is. Let's see. Happy Thanksgiving. If you want to do a giveaway with the DX Commander, I'm in. It has the DX Classic as a semi-permanent install. Yes. If longer than 50, well, LMR is 500. You can use RG213 also for the longer runs. It's much easier to put connectors on. Was there a better explanation of the DX Commander antenna and why there is controversy over the antenna? And some guy who's a fairly young YouTuber put together a video saying how wrong I am. Well, I'm not wrong. I just passed on to you what I did and what the results were. And I don't know how you can call that wrong, but boy, he was sure had his dander up. So, fiberglass. No, are they made of fiberglass? Okay. No, I doubt very much Callum's listening in here. Besides which, it's 2 in the morning in Great Britain. Sent you an email. Can you explain why we need a diplexer for 2 meter 70 centimeter, but not for a DX commander or fan dipole? That's an interesting question, Brave Rifles. Why you need a diplexer for 2 meter 70 centimeter? However, if you get an antenna that has the two combined, there's no diplexer. I guess the thing is, you can put the two antennas together if they're fed at the same point. You can't feed one here and then continue the coax on over here to the other one, because you'll get all kinds of weird reflections in there. That will be a problem. But you can buy beams that are like 4 elements on 2 and 8 elements on 440, and you can get them so that they're parallel, because all FM work, almost all FM work, is vertically polarized. You can get them so that they're crossed like this, which is good for satellite work. And if you're doing weak signal work or something like that. That's an interesting question. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more. Okay. Felt like there was a jab in some like to make things more complicated than they are. Did I say that? No, I don't know. Yeah, the antenna is simple enough that it would seem to me that a step-by-step set of instructions could be put together easily. In the UK, they are called Jubilee clips, hose clamps. That's the name somebody told me. They called them Jubilee clips. Okay, maybe they came out in the year of the Jubilee, which was, in the 1800s sometime. They're hose clamps here, which is what they do. That's a name after their function. Jubilee clips. I'll have to try that. Do you know the title? Let's see, we had turkey today. Yeah, okay. Tom Frericks, AE0GQ, sent $100. Since I'm an infrequent live viewer, I don't contribute often. Here's a $1 per 1,000 viewers. Should appreciate the association. It's kind of engineering-ish. Yes, and here it is right here if you just joined. I got my silver award from YouTube for 100,000 subscribers. So this will figure prominently in the arrangement of the room. When Google went public, their filing with the SEC had some really weird numbers in it. Instead of something like 24 billion, it would go 24.1562783. And you'd look it up and find, oh, good grief, that's E, which is a transcendental number. And they slipped pi and all that sort of stuff like that. No, he's not. He's doing very well. Let's see. Okay, yes, it's 3 a.m. here and I'm on. Stuart RV. Hello. Mike is on Callum's payroll. Okay, whatever. I've said my piece. I'm not going to say any more. They can all no experience with DX Commander antenna. It is a nice antenna if you can figure out how to build it. Can you explain electronic logging? Somehow my grid square was correct, but ITU zone and CQ zone was wrong apparently. If I moved, for example, to do mobile FT8, I have to create a different log. Yeah, that's true. They tend to go by locations. I use for logging N3FJP. Now M1MN or something like that, N1MM something, also has a free logging program. N3FGP is not free, but it's very inexpensive. Okay, somebody here is sending strange things, and I'm just going to remove. Okay. Can you explain electronic logging? I do have a video on logging. But on a lot of these logging programs, you have to enter these parameters, and you need to look at a map. You can look up ITU zones, like here in the U.S., ITU zone 2. CQ zone, umpty squat. I don't know. There's a lot of them. Okay, I'm sorry, MSD. Secretary, I'm going to make that stuff go away. Okay, that took care of that. Sorry about that, guys. It does occasionally happen that we get a somebody. Which inexpensive SWR meter do you recommend? Go to MFJ. Now, one thing you can do, you can pay as much as you want for an SWR meter. The fact of the matter is, if it's in ham radio, it's probably not real super lab quality. To really get good SWR, you need to use a vector network analyzer. There is the VNA Nano, but I've never pushed it on this channel because it's quite complicated to use. I prefer just a regular antenna analyzer, like one from MFJ or the nice one from, what was it, Comet or something. If you're going to get yourself an SWR meter from MFJ, why not get a tuner, a manual tuner that has an SWR meter built in? Okay, and that will be $100, something like that. Let's see. There are, yeah, I think about somewhere right in there. Okay, we'll put that up. Which inexpensive? Let's just take a moment before we do the drawing and look at MFJ. Let's see, I got to do it down here too. Okay, MFJ Enterprises. And I'm going to search for manual tuner. Okay, that's the Vectronics. I don't know that, if you like that style, you can do that. Let's see. Here's a nice little one. It's also an antenna tuner and also an artificial ground, although that's kind of pricey. Page 1 of 20. They've got a lot of them. This is how MFJ originally made their name, was with tuners. Okay, here's a nice little, oh, that's a little more expensive. Here, this is kind of the thing I was thinking of right here. This tuner, let's see, we've got to get this down to where it shows up there. Okay, this tuner has what's called a cross needle meter, and then it's got the 3 knobs, and you can use it a QRP or 300 watts. So you'd use this with a regular HF radio, not with an amplifier. Okay, and this is the kind of thing you might look for, because the only reason to have is if you're going to use it to tune. Now, some people like, and let's go up here and just search SWR meter. Some people like just a simple meter,
because they like dancing needles and stuff like that. Like that one right there. Okay, there's another one. And they make them so big it'll practically be as big as your rig. And they make them small, 1 of 28 pages of SWR meters. There's all kinds of ones here that you can look at. Find one in there that you like. Here's a huge one right there. World's largest SWR watt meter, 6.5-inch meter. I think that's the dimension across there. But you can do all kinds of things with these. Now, another use case for this
is if you have a tuner. Well, that won't help. The SWR meter has to come before the tuner. So if you have the SWR meter after the tuner in your rig, you'll be reading what the rig is tuning, but it doesn't give you any information beyond that. But go to MFJ, you'll get something nice there. Okay, here we go. Okay. What thoughts had to do with the feed point? You pause further, validated as something simple. There's always someone to spoil. Yeah, well, that's why YouTube gives me some tools. Reese, would you be willing to review my QSL service? Reese, write to me and tell me more. Okay. On the wall where the barometer is. Okay, I've gotten way behind. Way behind. Why would you put 3 kilowatt into a 1.5 kilowatt tuner? To blow it up. That's what it would do. Okay. I used the MFJ 993B, and that's what I have. That's an automatic tuner, and it'll handle up to 300 watts, it says. Okay, here are the envelopes. These are the people who said they wouldn't mind seeing an Alpha Delta DXEE antenna show up on their porch. Now, I'm going to tell you, when it shows up on your porch, don't be too put off by the size. What we did was we wound the thing, it's built, it's already put together, wound the thing around a coil form that I had bought some wire on before. We wound the thing around it, and I need to find a box to make it fit. It's a little heavy. Whereas this next month's giveaway, the December giveaway, is the MFJ 17754 antenna, which is a 40-20 trapped dipole. It does about half of 40 meters and all of 20. And so you can set which half you want by the way you tune it. And it was a candidate to be the reference antenna. Okay, these have all been flattened out down here, and I've shuffled them around and again. Okay, so I'm going to stick my finger in here, and we're going to take this part, the upper part, set it aside, and see what's on top. And what is on top is KE0QQQ, Jesse Platt in Richfield, Minnesota. Okay, and he's quack, 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 and he's got the 3 ducks there. And this is for giveaway number 4. He's got my call wrong, but I'll forgive him for that. So if you want to send for giveaway number 5, which will be this much less robust but still thoroughly adequate antenna, send it to Dave Casler, KE0OG, P.O. Box 98, Ridgeway without the E, Ridgeway, Colorado 81432. Put the giveaway number on here and also put your phone number in case I have to call. And he's got it down here at the bottom where the post office stamped all over it. And send it to me for giveaway number 5. So I'll take cards starting now. And it will be given away on New Year's. No. It'll be given away on December 30th. The live stream on December 30th, okay? So you've got 5 weeks to get something in. Now, please let me warn you about the post office. I am seeing in stuff I get wildly varying delays. Wildly varying delays. Sometimes I'll get stuff in 2 days, sometimes it's a week and a half. It's tending toward the 3 or 4 days. They have stopped moving the mail by airplane. It used to be that you had to pay extra to send your mail, airmail. And then they started moving all the mail by air. And you could be guaranteed that if you sent a first-class letter in New York on Monday, it'd be in California by Wednesday. Okay? Those days are gone. There's no more airmail. It's all going by the train or by truck. Because airmail is just too expensive. They got somebody in charge of the post office who's determined to bring them kicking and screaming into the 20th century in terms of what are called service level agreements. In other words, what kind of service they'll promise. They've stopped promising very fast service for first-class mail because there's less and less and less first-class mail. Because people are using email. For example, the trash company. Let's see, do I get a... No, I do get a bill from them. Who is it I don't get a bill from? Well, of course, the cell phone company. I don't get a bill from them. I get an email that they've taken so much money out of my account. So I don't even use a stamp to send anything back to them. And that works really well. And unfortunately, first-class mail has driven the architecture of the post office, which has become more and more a competitor to Amazon, UPS, FedEx, and that sort of thing. So they're trying to re-justify their use case, why there even is there's a very good justification for having a post office. It's in the Constitution of the United States of America. And you can thank Ben Franklin for that. He was the one who thought the nation needed a post office. Okay. So let me look at a few more here. So this will go in the mail maybe tomorrow. I've got to get a box big enough for it because it didn't fold up real well. And and Jesse, you'll see when you get this that it's definitely heavy built, very heavy build. And it's got a lightning surge suppressor in it. So Minnesota will get a nice antenna. Okay, so send the next one in. This was drawing number 4, so this next one will be drawing number 5. I would recommend, if you're going to participate in the drawings every month, go down to the post office, and get some postcards. This is a genuine U.S. postcard, and they're forever cards, too. They cost less, significantly less than first-class mail does now, and that's all you need to send me is your name, call sign, address, and phone number, and you can send one in every month for not too much. So there you go. Let's see. USPS lost my last eBay purchase. I'm sorry to hear that. They've been very good. Oh, and AI5DD Expeditions likes his 13 Colonies Clean Sweep. CW, very good. Very good. Congratulations. Hello from Chandler, Arizona. I'm going to be in Arizona in late January for Quartz Fest, which is not that far from the Phoenix area. It's about an hour drive. And they'll get 600 to 1,000 attendees at that thing. And the thing about Quartz Fest that is different is it's held out in the middle of the desert, and you need to bring an RV of some sort to camp in there. You can camp up to 14 days for free. The problem is you're also camping along with about 1 million, and that's actually not too broad an exaggeration. They get 2 million visitors a year. Thousands of your closest friends who are also in their RVs, but the area where the Quartz Fest is held is kind of in the center of one of these. It's 5 miles south of Quartz Fest proper. So it's free. There's no charge. You can donate, of course. They'd love it for you to do that because they do have some expenses, but there you go. Let's see. Gene Burgos66pacific.com had a loaded dipole calculator. Oh, that's interesting. Robert Buckner says, Dave, thanks for all you do for ham radio. Thank you very much. Sam Sun says hello from India. And thanks to Ben Franklin. Ben was a very interesting man. The problem with Ben Franklin as a founding father, he was never president, but a lot of the ideas that are fundamental to the nation, the great American experiment, come from Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and others like that. Ben was quite the womanizer. One of his early duties after the U.S. became a nation was to be the ambassador to France. And he made the best of it. Now, because of that unfortunate little habit of Ben's, a lot of historians kind of tend to downplay him a little bit, but I think there haven't been very many presidents that have been entirely faithful to their wives. I would put Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe is, because he's a devout Catholic. But some of them have been pretty risque. So anyway. Okay, CompuServe used to have a service in the early 80s when you emailed and they printed it right away on the main post office of the recipient. Overnight delivery for certain. Yeah, well, I mean, back then, people were trying different business cases. Federal Express, or FedEx, now just FedEx, it was Federal Express, started out as a business plan, a guy who went to Harvard Business School. And one of the assignments was to develop a sophisticated business plan. And he developed a business plan that said he was going to start an airline to move checks from the cashing bank to the receiving bank. There is this behind-the-scenes huge thing that goes on. If you write a check, it's now mostly electronic, but it used to be that check went to your recipient and then had to come back to your bank to be cleared. And so he was going to put that in place to get all that stuff done across the nation overnight. And he got an F in the class. He was told that it was not a business plan that would work, so he went out and did it and made a lot of money. Well, there was pent-up demand in the country for overnight delivery. Get stuff from California to New York overnight. and there by 10 a.m. And I remember the old FedEx commercials that says, when it absolutely, positively must be there overnight, use FedEx or Federal Express. Well, of course, now they ship everything, and they've got lots of stuff. Quartzsite is a cool place. Tell my wife that, would you? She hates it. But she's got a sister who lives there. So let's see. Could you recommend a book for electronics for an intermediate skill level? Go to the ARRL. Let's do that.
Go to the ARRL store. ARRL.org/ Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about tonight. We're out of time. Oh, they've been moving things around. ARRL store. Come on. Here we go. Let's look in here. What's new? Antennas award beginners and new hams. Okay. Exhibit field history and adventure kits and maps. Licensing and education. Let's see what we got here. That clearly the handbook is something you want to get. Here's a tech Q&A. That's mostly just licensing. Seasonal items, technical. Let's see what technical gets us. Okay, we've got the antenna, the handbook, of course. The best of the doctor is in. That's the column I do now. Basic radio. Digital storage, oscilloscopes, micro projects, more Arduino, Raspberry Pi. This antenna physics book is outstanding. I really like that book. Here's more basic electronics. Let's go to the second page, see if we can answer your question. I really like that antenna physics book. Okay, come on. This radio science for the radio amateur, I was quite disappointed in. It doesn't end so much as it just stops. It's 1/3 of what could be a very good book. Transmission line hits and kinks, QEX, of course. I'd go with that antenna one. There's another one on propagation in there that's quite interesting. Let's go back to the live stream, go back to the normal view, and wrap up. One last thing. The general videos have moved to the ARRL website. You go to learn.arrl.org. You do not have to be a league member to look at the tech videos, but you do. I had suggested they not do this, but you do have to be a member of the league to look at the general videos. And the amateur extra videos are not put up. So as long as the amateur extra videos are not put up, I still sell the thumb drives. I had an order for one today. You know, until those, I was told it would be December, but it's almost December now, and they're not up. You can still buy the thumb drives. These are $49.99 each, which, by the way, is how much it costs to join the league. And let's see that you can see that says amateur extra on it. This has all the amateur extra of my training videos, okay, on this, and I'll take orders through the end of November. Okay, so I got one tonight. I'll fulfill it, and then I'll get in touch with Steve Goodgame at the league and find out when he plans on putting the extra videos up, because when they go up, I need to stop doing this. Okay, that was the agreement that we had. So they are there. Air Parcel Direct. Oh, yes. That is true, Life, and you are correct.
and I've done this. You can take packages down to an airline, and they'll put it on the next flight, but somebody has to go pick it up from the airline. So there you go. All right. Well, here's some real good suggestions for books. Okay. There you go. So greedy of ARL not to give members discounts. Well, yeah, that would be nice. Okay, we're at the end of the day. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. It's a holiday that's celebrated in the United States. I think they have a different day in Canada and different day in different countries. Some equivalent hobby, or some equivalent type of day, a day set aside to give thanks. In the United States, we celebrate it with turkey and football. And it is the last non-commercialized holiday in the United States. The airlines make out like bandits, of course. But now already people are starting to sell Christmas stuff. But Thanksgiving stubbornly remains a non-commercialized holiday. So thank you all so much for joining. We went a few minutes overtime. I will see you next week, which will be December 2nd, and we will continue. And by the way, the chat thing seems to go on for a few minutes after I log this off. So until we next meet, we hope that KE0QQQ will really enjoy his new antenna and get those cards and letters coming for giveaway number 5, which will be the MFJ antenna. And until we next meet, 73.